Hey guys, it's Troy here, and I'm going to share with you a modern Sheaffer pen. You know, if you follow this channel whatsoever, that I'm a big fan of some of the older Sheaffers. I mean, the 1930s with their celluloid and their flat tops are just to die for as far as I'm concerned. Some of the best pens ever made. Sheaffer has always been like my number 2 brand, maybe even closing in on number 1 with some of their old flat tops. And then when you get to the PFMs and the snorkels, great innovation from the Sheaffer company. But I gotta be honest, the modern Sheaffers that I've run across have been sort of, okay. Nothing special, nothing to write home about, especially lately. I mean, the Sheaffer Pop were some of the most innovative things they've come out with, and all they were just cheap $20 pens that they put Star Wars stuff on, and people bought because it's Star Wars. And don't get me wrong, I'm a Star Wars fan. If you could see all over my office, I've got Star Wars toys. I'm looking at a great big old R2-D2 radio-controlled droid right in front of me that you can't see behind the camera. And I've got Stormtroopers and Yodas and Darth Vaders all over my desk. But still, that was the most innovative thing they came out with. And this, however, is a brand new pen that Sheaffer has put out. Sheaffer, owned by A.T. Cross now, as they have been for a little while. And they haven't been real great innovators, unfortunately, either with Cross or with the Sheaffer brands. But they did come out with quality pens once in a while. And this one here is their newest offering, the Sheaffer Icon. I ordered this from penherostore.com. A couple of reasons for that. Number one, they had the best price anywhere on the Sheaffer Icon when it came out. Just recently released, and I did some research looking at different distributors. Pen Hero, also based out of Raleigh, North Carolina, is only the next county over from where I presently sit. 35 miles drive. I used to live in Raleigh, so I figured, great, got a decent price on a pen that I'm looking forward to playing with. It's only 35 miles from here. It should show up within a couple of days. No. United States Postal Service, in their usual flair full of efficiency, I ordered another pen on the other side of the continent the exact same day. They were both shipped on the same day, and this one arrived about 4 days later than the one that came all the way 3,000 miles as opposed to 35 miles. Go figure. So let's go ahead and take a look here at the end of the box. You've got the Sheaffer Icon. I got mine in the matte black with lacquered finish fountain pen with a medium nib on it. Here you look at the bottom here, Sheaffer fountain pen, and you can see it says Lac Noir Matte. So the black matte, the matte black lacquer finish again, and it's made in China, like a lot of pens are nowadays. So AT Cross having these pens. Not only pretty much all Cross pens nowadays made in China, also their Sheaffer brand being made in China. So you've got this slip top box there, and then you get a fairly nice presentation box. And the color of the box pretty much matches the pen color that's inside. Remove, you got the famous Sheaffer white dot there in their design. You pull it out and you've got this plastic cover over the pen itself. It sits on a nice little pillow there. You look here, lifetime mechanical warranty. Over here, says nothing on the other sides at all. One of the things that I did do as well is, because pens nowadays tend not to come with a converter, I went ahead and I actually ordered a converter along with it. However, much to my surprise, it actually came with one, and I will show you that. So I didn't exactly waste the money on a spare converter, so now I've got a spare converter for Sheaffer. So you pull the pen out off from the pad, and you've actually got a good heft on this metal pen. That's the first thing I noticed when I pulled it out of the box, is that, it's weighty. It's got some substance here. It's, I knew it was a black lacquered metal, but I didn't expect the weight and the heft to it when I first picked it up. Then you pull this up, and guess what? You get a nice little user guide, and they do include some Sheaffer, couple of actually Sheaffer cartridges in there. So close that up, set it aside. So you take a good look at it. You know, this particular pen came in various colors. I decided to go with the black in the red trim because I really liked it. I thought this was probably the best looking one, but they also had it in red, green, blue, and silver. So you do have some color options available to you. I particularly thought that this was a very good looking one here, so I chose to go with that. It's got the over-the-top clip. So if you look here, it's got kind of like a rivet at the top looking thing, but it's got that, you know, so you got a piece of metal here that kind of comes up and over the top for a clip. What that does give you actually is a nice springy clip. I mean, it doesn't really feel tremendously cheap. Doesn't really feel very sturdy either, but it does actually give you some good spring, which I do like to a clip, by the way. I'm tired of the clips that are so stiff. You know, you got to pry it up in order to put into a pocket, let's say. Then you get the Sheaffer white dot here. That is very typical of Sheaffer in their branding. And you get a nice red stripe coming down that clip, as you do here on the cap band as well. It doesn't say anything on the cap band, so you've just got those two black bands there with the red band in the center. And you notice that the cap actually comes down at least a full third, if not closer to halfway down the length of that pen. So, you know, like I said, it's got some heft to it. I mean, it's got a, I like the shape to it. It's a very traditional shape. Then you come down, you get the taper down to basically just a rounded end here at the tip of the barrel. So, you go, you pull it apart. It is a slip cap. You can see you got that band right there, and it does snap very nice and tight. And you know that you've got a good seal once you hear that snap. You pull it apart, and you look at it, and you go, that design actually kind of looks familiar. And if you've seen and followed any Sheaffers, then maybe you remember a while back, they did come out with a Sheaffer Tyrannus, which is not a bad pen. I mean, the Tyrannus is a decent pen, very popular pen, shaped differently. I mean, it's, you know, kind of squared off down here at the end. You can still get Tyrannuses out there fairly inexpensively. I mean, I just saw one just this morning. I ran across that someone was selling on eBay for a little over $30. And these right there, I tell you what, $69-70 right now full retail. I got it on sale for $52. That's why I went with Pen Hero Store, because $52 was the low end. I mean, I was seeing other stores that were selling them far more expensively than that, but Pen Hero Store prices are now back up after their sale was over. They had a huge, like 40% off sale. But you look here, the Sheaffer Tyrannus, you know, you've got the Sheaffer name down the center, and it's the same general design. You know, not specific as much, but the same general design overall. Putting them side by side. So that's not tremendously innovative on the icon if you're familiar with a Tyrannus. So you've got, you know, pretty much the exact same shape and the same nib style there. But you can tell that there are some differences as to aesthetics for the most part. But in terms of how they are designed in their shape, in function, and angles, very much the same as a Sheaffer Tyrannus. But it is different in terms of how it looks. You know, here you get the Sheaffer name emblazoned upon a red stripe on that black lacquered section here. In that nib, you know, it's semi-hooded up to the point here. Then you've got that nice angle where that feed, and that is a good looking feed. I mean, that is a very nice looking design. I do like the angles of it. I do like how tiny that feed looks. I do like that nib, how it just kind of juts out. That's actually a good looking design to me. and it's also very functional. Like I said, it is a cartridge converter pen, so this just twists right off there, and you've got that silver receptacle for the converter that's in here. And it came with that converter already in it, which, like I said, surprised me. I did not expect a converter to come with a pen pretty much of any price. I mean, I've got a Mont Blanc I got over here that was, you know, like 8 times the price of this, and it didn't come with a converter. It came with only a cartridge. So I do like the fact that AT Cross Company did choose to include a converter with this. I'm assuming that is the case for them all, and not just I happen to get you know, an exception to the rule. So there you go. It fits really nicely in the hand. I mean, it's not the longest pen in the world, but it actually fits nicely. I've been using this pen a lot. I decided not to do this video until I'd used this pen extensively. That cap, however, does backweight that pen significantly, because that cap actually has a good amount of heft to it. So you may not want to post, although it does post nice and secure if you so choose. And that does give you a good length. I mean, I really like the length of that pen with that cap on it, but it is pretty weighty. So you pull that off, and that is actually a good, comfortable hold, good comfortable grip and girth on that section. If you don't like smooth sections, you may not like this, but for me, it's just fine. I don't have any issues with that whatsoever. So, a pen is only as worthy as how well it writes, as far as I'm concerned. So I'm going to give you some statistics on this particular pen, and then we're going to come back with a writing sample, and I'll actually also show you a size comparison with some comparable models. So here we are with the Sheaffer Icon, and I promised to show you some comparable pens, not necessarily price-wise, but in its class in terms of size and use. So I'm putting the Tyrannus right next to the Icon. So you can see side by side, even though that section was, and the design of that section was very similar, as was the nib and feed, you've got a very different pen in terms of its girth, in terms of its shape. I'm also going to throw in here, just for comparison's sake, Ye Olde Lamy Safari, so you can see in terms of its size. A Mont Blanc 146. Another pen of you know, similar shape and similar size, close. Not necessarily the same, you know, price category. A Jinhao 450. Throw that in there. Definitely a lower end pen, yet still amongst the same class in terms of its size. And last of all, the required by international treaty Pilot Metropolitan. So there's your size comparison. You can tell that out of all of these pens, that Sheaffer Icon is actually the smallest in terms of its length. And in terms of its girth, it's actually one of the girthier pens out of the group. But it makes no point to even having it if it doesn't write well. Well, does it? Let's go ahead and take a look. As I said earlier, I do not want to post this particular pen, but I will go ahead and use it unposted and hold it very comfortably in my hand. So let's take a look. The Sheaffer Icon. Now, I ordered a medium nib. I will tell you that this medium actually writes more like a fine. So it is on the more narrow side of medium. It's definitely, like I said, it writes more like a fine. It is still, though, a fairly smooth nib. I've used this particular pen on all kinds of paper. It really didn't love the Ayush paper because it's, you know, it's toothier, it's grainier paper, but I've been using it on all kinds of paper. I mean, including stuff like Post-it notepads. I've been using it on normal, ordinary, everyday copy paper, that kind of stuff, regular notepads, and actually it does fairly well. It's done well with anything that I've put into it. So this little steel nib here, don't plan on getting much of any kind of line variation out of it. It's a fairly stiff nib. And it is not meant to be a flex nib at all. Don't expect it. But it is a good writing nib. This pen, for me, has been reliable every time that I've used it, anywhere I've used it. You can hear the feedback on it because it's definitely, like I said, on the finer side of medium. And another good thing about this particular pen, I have dropped this thing in a parking lot and it went skidding across the pavement. It's tough. It is a tough pen. When I dropped it, I was like, oh, wow, hey, that held up pretty good. And I didn't even see any scuff marks on it for real. I mean, this was all right. So I put into this pen some Monteverde Midnight Black. So let's see how for wetness. There's our smear test. Do you want to do any reverse writing with pens? I'll be honest with you, I don't. I know people who want to get some extremely fine lines and some people who like to do artistry, but you can definitely get a good extra fine line out of it, and it does write lighter than it would normally. But, you know, it's not bad. Like I said, I paid $52 on the low end, and right now I'm seeing them to go for like $69 or so on the high end. So it's this particular pen is fairly new to the Sheaffer lineup. If you like the Tyrannus nib, you're gonna really like the Icon nib. The only disappointment to me so far has been that it does write on the fine side of medium. I didn't ask for a fine nib, I asked for a medium nib, and this medium nib actually writes more on the fine. So if there was like a broad nib, and I don't remember if there was a broad nib selection available, but if there was, I'd probably go with the broad nib just because I like my line just a little bit wider than that. But it has not been an unpleasant experience at all. Like I said, I've been carrying this pen for quite a while now and been using it extensively. A lot of letter writing with it, a lot of note taking with it, and I've done fairly well with it, so I can't complain. So is it like a $70 pen to me? No, not really. 52 bucks, okay, maybe. I can see if it was being offered at that low end on a permanent basis. PenHeroStore.com is where I got it, and Jim is a Sheaffer aficionado. If you've never been to his website, just to do some research, PenHero.com, and he does own the PenHeroStore.com as well. And Jim always has some fantastic information available to you for history and for research. So anyway, there you go. It's the Sheaffer Icon. You know, it's a durable pen. It's decent. It's worth having in my collection. But I definitely wanted to try it out just to see what Sheaffer had been up to in terms of anything that was new that was being released. Wanted to see if they'd made any real changes, any modifications, if they come out with anything really innovative. Nothing tremendously innovative about this pen, really. I mean, a few aesthetic changes and a few design changes in terms of the cap. But I do like its girth. I do like its heft. I do like those changes over the Tyrannus, quite honestly. I like how it fits in the hand and feels in the hand probably a little bit better than the Tyrannus. But in terms of its section and its nib, there is really no improvement other than aesthetically over the Tyrannus. So there you go. That's my opinion of the Sheaffer Icon. And like I said, a lot of other colors that are out there, the red, the green, the blue, and the silver, to suit your taste and fancy. There you go. Hopefully you have an idea for something to add to your collection.